My name is Mrs. Chambless. We've already been introduced for a little bit. You have in front of you the pig heart and lungs. We talked about earlier about the heart and lung, and why we're using the pig is because it's the closest to the size of our hearts and lungs. You've been studying already the respiratory system and the circulatory system, so that's what we're exploring today. First thing I want you to do is I want you to take the heart and lung, somebody in your group, take it out of the pan and just put it on your mat. It's hard to work in those pans. And then parents, would you collect those pans, put them on that table, and we'll wash them when we're done. Make sure you're on your blue mat or your or your garbage bag. Sure you are. I've got a couple different kinds there. I think that's, oh here, you want match? Okay. Okay, may I have your attention, please? I'm going to be doing this a lot. May I have your attention, please? Anytime you see me standing on this chair, you know I'm about ready to go this, okay? So what this whole session is going to be like, and normally parents, I run you through a little orientation before, but we're all together now, so we're just going to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some things up here, and then I'm going to give you some time to explore, and then I'm going to come back, I'm going to tell you something to do, I'll give you time to do it. So when I'm up here, I really need all eyes and ears to me. So if you could just make sure everything's out of your hands and I have your complete attention, then you'll know what to do next. Question? Okay. The one thing you're going to want is your goggles. Sometimes if they get too close to your face, they kind of steam up because it's warm and humid in here. So just kind of put them down a little bit if you have that problem. Any questions right now before we even get started? Are you excited? Yeah. Good, good. Okay, so the first thing, and you've already been doing it, but what I want you to do is go ahead and touch, turn over, feel it, and then talk to your partners and describe what organs and structures do you see right here. And you have some cards on your table to help. May I have your attention? Oh, you guys are going to be good. I get really impatient, so I'm up here. I put my hand up, and I want yours right with me. So you're doing great. Raise your hand and tell me what you found. What did you guys find over there? Found the esophagus. Great, because we're going to talk a lot about that. In the very back, what did you find? Good. What did you find? Trachea. Great. We're going to talk a lot about the difference between the esophagus and the trachea. So that's two important structures to find.
Some small bean looking things.
Yeah, you had a growth on yours. I hadn't seen that before. So it's always interesting every time you get these. What did you find?
We found a vein.
Good. What did you find? Okay, so one more, and we're going to go. The heart is heavier than the lungs. Excellent observation there. That was really good. This is where I would like to start, is back with the esophagus and the trachea. If you would make sure your plucks are on your table looking like this, with your lungs up, your heart underneath, and then you can normally find your trachea. Some of them are cut off pretty short, so you might have some hard time. Make sure adults just walking around, make sure that they have both, or that they can find them. And then we're going to go from there. So, yep, right there, that's what I'm looking for. Let's see. Cool. Okay. May I have your attention, please? Great. You found, from what I could tell, I'm kind of tethered to this cord, so I can't get very far. Normally I'm all over the place. So parents, teachers, I'm relying on you back there. So you found, I saw everybody that found the esophagus and the trachea. I want to know the difference between the two of them. Talk in your group, and then I'm going to call you back and we're going to talk about it. May I have your attention? Okay, who can tell me the difference between the two back there?
The trachea is smaller than the esophagus.
Okay. What do you think?
Trachea takes air and the esophagus takes food.
Yeah, the trachea is the one that takes the air. The esophagus is the one where our food goes down, but I need to know the difference between them because did you see they're right next door to each other? They're like right there. What's the difference? Go ahead.
The esophagus is like smooth and like squishy, and the trachea is like really hard.
Yeah, get the squishy one, the smooth squishy one. That's where your food, that's the esophagus. So the hard one that's open, that you can see through, that's your what? Trachea. And that's where your air goes through. Would you want your air trying to get through the other one? That'd be a little hard, wouldn't it? Yeah. So we said it was hard. It feels kind of ribbed, doesn't it? The important thing is you know the difference between the two of those because that's very important. Because how many of you have ever eaten something, and I just did this yesterday, you take a swallow of something and you say, start coughing, and you say, it went down the wrong pipe. Yeah. That's because some of it went down that esophagus, or to the trachea where the air is supposed to go. If we look at this poster right here, you might have to share over there. I want you to find where the esophagus is and the trachea is, and then there's a funny word, the epiglottis. Have you talked about the epiglottis? Okay, so find the epiglottis there. Okay, can I have your attention, please? Okay, so you know the difference, and you see where that esophagus and trachea come right up to the epiglottis. Normally, on some of the plucks, sometimes I get an epiglottis, and it's really fun because I take a marble and I close the flap, and then I put a marble right down the esophagus, and then we see it, the marble go all the way through like it would be food. But what you can do is take your pinky and kind of put your pinky inside that esophagus, the smooth, smaller one, and see if you can get your pinky in there and watch it expand because that's what happens when your food goes through. Like I can put my whole finger down. Because yours is right there. Okay, so go ahead and do that. Attention, please. You do not have to worry about being gentle with these. When I have them at home and I'm thawing them out because I get them in a frozen block, and I'm just ripping them apart and nothing's ever tore off. So you do not have to be gentle. Just get in there and poke and prod and do whatever I ask you to do. Okay? Question? Okay. How many got their finger in the esophagus? Isn't it neat how it expands out and then shrinks back down? So just think of your food going through there. Okay. We're going to work now on the trachea, and what I want you to do is, I'm going to have parents, you can come out and pass out these when after I get done explaining here. You have a tube and you have a bicycle pump.
Your attention, please.
Now,
your attention, please. This is listening time.
this is probably the most fun you're going to have. Because what you get to do, your job is to pump up those lungs. Okay? What's your job? I want both of them pumped up, both sides. I want them pumped up at the same time. See if you can do that. Parents, would you like to hand these out, please? That one's already done, but just grab a thing, put them together, and hand them out. Oh, looking good. How do you get both of them pumped up? Attention, please. Got both of them. Great. We need to... Back table, you got both of them to pump up. How'd you do that? Squeezed what really hard? Ah, yeah. What I see is some people have their pump in the trachea and they're not holding the trachea to the hose and some air's escaping. Close that really good, make a good tight seal on there, and pump. Okay, go. Oh, this is looking good. Oh, that's beautiful. That looks great. All right, you got both sides.
Can we get a bigger one?
Yeah, why don't we switch?
Well, I don't want to take your
No, I don't need them, but you're just going to have to fish around in there for them.
I'll just take one. How's that?
No, there's another one in there. Go right ahead. Yeah. Sure, there's got to be more in this school somewhere if somebody needs them.
Thanks.
Okay, your attention, please. I would like your hands away from it because I want the air to all go out now. Because what I want you to do is, I see all of you had a great chance of blowing up both sides. And girls, you've got the larger pluck now, so you can play with it in a minute. And what I want you to do right now, though, is kind of, when I say go, squeeze the air out of the lung. And then this is what, see, I've got the little one now. But I want you to feel how heavy that lung is. And then after everybody has felt how heavy that lung is, just one side even, I want you to blow it up again and then everyone feel how heavy it is. Go. How many felt the difference between the lungs with no air and the lungs with air? Raise your hand if you felt that. Okay, if you had not gotten a chance, you'll get a chance as we go through this next part to do that, and just make sure you do. What did you notice though? You have to talk really loud because they're videotaping, so yell at me when you're talking.
With the air in it, it's like lighter and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot lighter. Now, can you picture those lungs inside your chest? Take a deep breath in. All that air's there. Let it out. So you can kind of get a better visual of what your lungs are doing inside of you by blowing these up. Well, we're going to start and we're going to do some cutting. But before we do some cutting, I want to talk to you about what we're going to do. And so you just need to kind of sit back and eyes up here. We're going to start exploring the respiratory system. And so we're going to start with what structure first? The trachea, that hard one that you were just putting your hose in. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut, and you're going to do this when I say go. So right now you're just listening so you know what to do. Now, a lot of people like to be gentle. Remember I said don't be gentle. Get those scissors in there, hold them correctly. These are adult scissors. Do not cut up here at the tips, but cut towards the back, and you'll get a really good cut. So you're just going to cut down through here. Now, if I cut into the trachea, what am I going to find as I get deep into here? What am I going to find? I can't hear you. Yeah, but I'm in the trachea, so when I'm traveling down the trachea, what is the next thing I should be seeing? The bronchi tubes. I have two of them, one going to one side of the lung, like you said, and one going to the other side. So this is what, and I know this is a smaller one, but this is my trachea cut open, and then when I'm coming down, I see I can go either this way with my scissors or go to this side with my scissors, one or the other. Those are your bronchi there, so you get to pick which side that you're going down. Then I start seeing some holes. Do you see these large holes here? Okay, what are those? No, those are so tiny we don't get to see them. We see the evidence of them with all the air in there and how light it is. Goes from the bronchi into, and these are those, when you look at a picture, it looks like a tree with a bunch of branches. Bronchial tubes, yeah, there's all the bronchial tubes in here now. So when you get to a bronchial tube opening there, put your pump on it, blow it up, and you'll get to see what tube, what bronchial tube supplies what part of the lung with oxygen there, okay? So you'll be able to see that. So you cut down the trachea till you get to the bronchi tube, you pick which one you want to go down, and then you just keep cutting. And I'm going to cut all the way to the tip of one side of the lung. So when I open it up, do you see that? That's what I want to see. So I just took my scissors and cut all the way down. Ready? Go. Okay. Yep, just start cutting. Remember, don't be gentle. You have doctors? Who's the doctor in here?
She's coming. Dawn Lambert. She's with Mercy Healthcare there in Marysville. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, just tell them to chime in.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Mr. Nadalkovich brought these.
Yes, those are wonderful. I would love those.
You know what? He said he would have. I think these are disposable. If he's not going to do anything with them, maybe he can, he can. Yeah.
Oh, you guys are doing a fantastic job finding all those bronchial tubes. And you should be cutting and pumping and cutting and pumping. Now, you cut yours all the way down on one side, and you saw those bronchial tubes. If you have finished that and you've pumped things up, then I want you to start cutting into these bronchial tubes. Just pick one and cut and see where that leads you, and just do some exploring on that side. Leave this other side. Uh-oh, stop. Do not cut this other side. Just find a bronchial tube, start cutting into that. And the bronchial tubes, you have to be very careful when you cut in there, so you have to be more on the ends of your scissors on that one, okay? But keep exploring. I'm going to give you probably another 4 minutes, and then we're moving on to the next part. Go. Good. You've had a lot of opportunities to find the bronchi, the bronchial tubes, to pump those up and to see what part, which bronchial tube supplies the oxygen to which part of the lung. So what I would like you to do, since on one side we cut all the way down and you got to see that, I want you to cut a cross section on your other side. So this is what I want you to do when I tell you to go. Take a big chunk. Don't make it just little. Take a big chunk of the bottom and just go straight across. And just so you have the bottom of a lung. This cross section here will give you a different view of your bronchial tubes. If you run your finger over that, you'll feel them, and then you can see the different sizes. Then I would like you to put your pump on one of those bronchial tubes and see if you can get that to expand. Go. Raise your hand if you got that bottom piece to blow up and expand. Good job, good job. We are going to take about, let's give you 3 minutes, and you're just going to explore before we go on to the heart. So you can cut anything you want on the lung only, or the trachea, or the esophagus. Do not cut anything on the heart. We're going to do that next, okay? May I have your attention, please? Okay. What we're going to do right now is we're going to finish up the respiratory system. We're going to go into the circulatory system. So what you're going to do when I say go is to hold your heart like this. I'm going to show you how to cut. You have 2 little flaps here on each side, they look like, of the heart. You do not want to cut those. So when you take your scissors, and this is going to be a hard cut, you really have to use some muscle here. You're below those flaps there, and you're just going to cut everything off. So I just have this. So that when you pull it up like this, if you still have a lot up here, I'll come around and tell you how much to cut off. Let me cut this part off. Because what you want to do is you have a heart picture on your table. You have your heart picture on your table, hold it up, and it shows you all the vena cavas, the aorta, your pulmonary veins and arteries. That's the picture I want you to use to find out what all the structures are up top. Any questions? Okay, so you're going to hold it by the heart, cut, and then look at your picture and start talking about those. Parents. Okay, your attention, please. Thank you very much. What did you find? What did you find? Okay. How many think they found the aorta? Okay, that's where I'm going to start, actually, so thank you for pointing us in that direction. I want you, your whole table, when I say go, you're going to tell each other why it's the aorta. What is the difference between that one compared to all the other ones that you know for sure that the one you're touching is the aorta? Okay, look at your picture, look at your heart, go. How do I know it's the biggest? Okay. Can anybody help add on to that? How would you describe it to somebody? If I'm looking at this for the first time, how do I know I'm looking at the aorta?
Because it's the main artery that branches off into all the rest.
Yeah, but just by looking at that, can I tell it's the main? Can I tell it's the biggest? The one right next to it looks pretty big too. So how can I describe this all the way in the back? It's what? It's the thickest. It has the thickest walls around it. That's the big thing you want to notice. Look at the one that has the thickest wall and put your finger in there and feel that and compare it to another one. Put your finger in the one above it and compare that. Okay? But you're looking at the thickest wall. Okay, your attention please. So you know now it's the thickest wall. Why does it have to be the thickest? Why is that one so thick? Talk in your group for 30 seconds. Go. Why is it the thickest?
It has to have more blood flow to the
Yeah, this is where all the blood is flowing out of the heart into the rest of your body. Do you want that to be a weak artery? No. So we need to have that really thick so that wall can take a lot of blood and pressure and push it all to your toes to the top of your head. So that's a pretty important one, isn't it? Yeah. Well, let's take a look at the outside of the heart. What do you notice in the outside of the heart? Where? Yeah, we have veins on the outside of the heart because our heart is a muscle and it needs to be supplied with blood and oxygen. So that's why that's there. What else do we notice? Yeah, this is a big muscle where our lungs weren't a muscle, were they? So this is really a thick muscle, big muscle here. Good. What else do you know about the heart? And what you can tell me from here? The left side's stronger than the right side. That's pretty interesting. You want to figure out how that can be? Anybody? Go ahead. Yeah, it has to pump all that blood it pumps it into the aorta and all the way out. But let's take a look now and see what happens on that left side and that right side. Does the blood ever combine, the left and the right side? Talk in your group for just a minute. We have the right side and we have the left side. Attention, please. So we know we have the right side of the heart, we have the left side of the heart, and does ever the blood mix? Yes or no? What is preventing it from mixing? Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, it's a septum that divides the two. It's a big wall there so nothing can get in between. Well, I keep talking about a right and a left. Does anybody know a right what and left what? What are we talking about here? The right and left ventricles, these are what you're seeing down here. We also have a left and a right what? On top of the ventricles, we have atriums. And that's what these little things are up here, are the atriums. And then we have the ventricles down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out which is the left side and which is the right side here. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to have the heart and we're going to snip on one side. And these aren't that great of scissors because I traded mine. We're going to snip on this side. Can you bring me up your scissors, please? I'm glad you guys traded with me. Because you need the ends here. Thank you very much. You need the ends. You're going to snip on one side and snip on the other side. So I should see, I could be able to get my fingers in them. If I can't get my fingers in there, I need to snip some more. Ah, there we go. So I can stick my finger in through there, and I can stick my finger in through here. Now, I see my aorta. What side of the heart am I on if my finger goes through the aorta? If your group knows, raise your hand, everybody in your group. Back here, which side am I on? I'm on the left side. So I know I'm on my left side of my heart if I put my finger up there and it comes through the aorta. So this is the harder part to do, is to know. Put your heart down flat. Make sure that line, the line here, make sure you clip on one side and the other side. Try it and go ahead, do that. Okay, raise your hand if you have gotten your finger on the left side and up through the aorta. If you have not done that, I want you to do that right now, and I'm giving you 1 minute for everybody at your table. Sometimes it's easier to find it if you put your finger down through the aorta and then find out which side it's on. It'll come out through the left side. So if you want to do it that way, go right ahead. You have 1 minute. Make sure everybody at your table does it. Go. Okay, so all of you had a chance to do that. I want you now in your groups, when I say go, I want you to talk about these ventricles. That left ventricle, you told me earlier, pushes all the blood that's oxygenated to the rest of your body, and it's really important. And that was the bigger side. I want to know what's bigger. So what I want you to do is compare the left side to the right side and tell me how different it is. You'll have about a minute. Go. Talk in your groups. Now, if I didn't use the aorta to find my left and my right, how do I know which is my left and which is my right? By just cutting them and knowing. What's thicker? Okay, so the ventricle, the left ventricle muscle there is really a lot thicker than the right side. Well, this left side you told me had to be powerful because it's pushing blood to the rest of the body. What's happening on this right side? Where is that blood going? To the lungs. You got to see how close this heart and lungs were together, right? So does it have to travel very far? No, not at all. So it doesn't need to have as thick of a muscle as this side does. It's pumping all the time to push that out to the rest of your body. Good. And we have some professionals. Do you want to add anything? Would you like to tell them what your job is?
I can tell them it has nothing to do with the actual anatomy that we're looking at right now. What I do is I deal with the electrical system. You see the muscles don't beat by themselves, but they need is an electrical stimulus. I don't know if you've done that.
No, we haven't.
Okay, well, it needs electricity, and the job that I do deals with abnormal electricity in the heart. The heart you can think of as your house, it has wires. You have a plug for your toaster, you have a plug, you've got plugs in the garage. Well, we deal with abnormal plugs, where there should be plugs, where there should be electrical stimulus causing the heart to be really bad. So that's basically what I do. I assist the physician doctor, I assist the doctor in both of these electrical systems, and also assist them in basic pacemaker defibrillator. Pacemakers are for heart rates that are really slow, defibrillators are for heart rates that are fast. The shock the heart is a normal risk or regular.
So if you like what you've done here, there's lots of careers that could go into any kind of facet dealing with your respiratory system or your circulatory system. Thank you very much. Oh, Dr. Lambert, would you like to add anything? We're just full of professionals today. This is awesome.
Well, I'm a family doctor, so my job is to keep your whole heart healthy. And we talk to patients about things like keeping the arteries that supply the blood to your heart free and clear of cholesterol with exercise and diet, and making sure your heart stays pumping healthy by doing the right
Thank you. Okay, so what you're going to do here in the last 4 or 5 minutes is you're going to take your heart now and you can cut it in half. And you can cut it in half. Well, let's wait until I say go, please. You can cut it in half whichever way you want. So if you want to continue cutting with where you started, or if you want to cut it in half the other way, don't cut it in half like we did the lung. Okay, cut around it or cut around it this way. But I want you then to open it up, and I want you to see the septum, I want you to see the 2 ventricles, and I want you to see what those atriums look like. Any questions? Okay, you can go ahead.